my educator family, and let me welcome you to Strategy Sunday, right here with Karla Boswell-Lewis. I want to thank you so much for dedicating your time each week to tune in and to listen. As we look at the social emotional learning theory for the month of July, and yes, it is Jubilant July. We're off on a break for most of us, and we should be reflecting on the year that was and how it is that we're going to be planning for the year that is upcoming, and that is the school year. So, the social emotional learning theory, we need to understand as educators how important this is in our current situation, in our current educational setting, in our current classrooms, and as we plan for the future. We are at a time in our history, educators, where we are seeing more and more that our students are unstable, and in light of the pandemic they are in need of the social emotional help. And so I thought it best that we could look at this for the month of July so that we can make the necessary plans as we move forward for the school year 2021-2022. And so let's get right into it. What is social emotional learning? Now, we may have heard of this term while we were at Teachers College, and as we progress through our career, these are terms that we will always be hearing. So, this is a process through which children and adults, and while I say adults, there will be a feature where we are speaking to teachers as well, how this can be developed in teachers. But for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to be focusing and zooming in directly on children in our classrooms. And so it is the process through which they understand and manage emotions, the process through which they set and achieve positive goals, where they feel and show empathy for others, where they establish and maintain positive relationships, and also to make responsible decisions. And educators, we're seeing in a time, in our world, in our classroom, in our countries, right across the globe, that students are in need of these aspects of the social emotional learning theory. Now, there are different components of the social emotional learning, and we refer to it as SEL, or some persons will say SEL. Now, there are five components. The first one is self management, or we're taking it as we see it, right? So there's self management, where they're able to manage their emotions and behaviors to achieve one's goal. There's also social awareness, in which they're showing understanding and empathy for others. There's relationship skills, where they're forming positive relationships, working in teams, and dealing effectively with conflict. And then we have the responsible decision making aspect, where they're making ethical, constructive choices about personal and social behavior. And finally, there is self awareness, where they recognize their emotions and values as well as one's strengths and challenges. How do we work this in the classroom? How do we see these five components, and what can we do as educators to help our students to develop these components? And so it is important that when we look at self awareness, where we're saying now that as students they should be able to recognize their emotions and their thoughts and how these influence their behavior. As educators, what should we be doing in our classrooms? And so, yes, we are to be developing positive awareness, saying to the students or guiding them in writing things that they like about themselves. We should also take them through the thoughts, actions, feelings circle, where you show them how their thoughts develop into actions and how their actions develop into feelings, and how they can stem the negative and focus on the positive. There's also the emotional journal, where they write down how they feel, what they're experiencing, what they're going through, And also, we can help them to establish and work towards goals, and also help them to identify and use their strengths. Educators, maybe you're wondering at this point, how is this relevant? How can I do this in my classroom? It can be done. It is a content free approach. So it is not linked directly to just math or English or social studies or HFLE or guidance and counseling. It is an open approach that all educators, regardless of your content area, that you can utilize with your students. What is it that you will be doing? Is to help them to think. It could be a moment in time where the first 10 minutes of your class that you take some time to help them to develop self-awareness. I'm sure that many of us throughout the school year, we had challenges with our students, not completing their work on time, not focusing as they should, not participating as they should in the class. That was an excellent moment for us to develop this self-awareness in them, to show them how they can establish and work towards their goals. What is it that they need to do to be successful in the class in which they are in? And for me, it is something that I've always been doing. And I know that there are educators out there that you have always been doing this aspect of it. Spend some time. You know, it is said when we look at social emotional learning theory, it is always said that we should value relationships with our students over content. I've emphasized it more than once. If we don't have relationships with our students where they can talk to us about their struggles, about what is plaguing them, then we cannot teach them. Until they learn to trust us, that is when they'll be able to learn the content that we're offering to them. So these are different tidbits of how we can develop self-awareness in our students. Now, the second component is the self-management aspect of it, where now you're helping them to regulate their emotions, their thoughts, and their behaviors in different situations. So this is where students easily become frustrated. Why do they become frustrated? What is it that is ticking them off? And so, as a result of it, you may need to develop strategies in your classroom that can help them. Usually, we have students, for example, where we have flexible seating and spaces. We have students who just definitely want to be in one area at all times because this is where they feel comfortable. This is where they want to stay away from others. But what can we do? Say to the students, listen, there are different spaces in the classroom. There are different seatings that you can go to sit and work with others. You don't necessarily have to be locked away in that seat at all times. It is also important that we develop reflection and goal setting in the students. So at the end of a unit or at the end of a topic or a series of subtopics that you have looked at, you may want to sit the students down and say to them, reflect on what you have accomplished in this topic. What is it that you learned from it? What is it that was difficult for you? What do you plan to do with the content, or how do you plan to overcome this another time that you will be focusing on this, or as you progress to another unit or another content topic? I already discussed with you the flexible seating and spaces. There's also time management logs that you give students assignments and you give them a time period in which it is to be submitted. They have not submitted it. Now you need to say to the students, okay, you have had this for 2 weeks or a day or 2 days or 2 hours since you have been in class, for those who teach classes that long, or an hour, and you have not yet completed it. This is what you need to do in order to help you to advance yourself. So it is where you are speaking mindfulness over the students, where you are encouraging them to take a greater approach to completing assignments and to participate in class. There's also the checklist and rubrics that I have often spoken about, that you need to guide the students to where they need to go. So if you give them an assignment, a checklist and a rubric is always an easy approach to help them to know where they are headed, what is the goal in mind, and what is the marks that they expect to get. So if they have their rubrics and their checklist, they can say, okay, for the introduction, I'm going to get 2 marks. Let me work towards it. For the body, this is what I'm going to be getting. If I use pictures, I'll get an extra 5 marks here. If I have my bibliography, I'll get an extra 2 marks. So they are working towards a goal and they are setting that to help them. Now, if we don't provide them with this, then we will not be able to teach them self management. And they, in return, must need to see us demonstrating self management. What do we do when we get to class and the students do not turn up with the required materials that you have asked them for? Do you sit and say to them, okay, I have my degree already and you need what I have? Or do you say, okay, you don't have this, so we're going to move on to this topic? So they don't come with the expectation, okay, if I don't have it, Miss is not going to do anything, so I have time to waste, or Miss is not guiding me that direction, or Sir is not doing this because I don't have it. Put a spin to it. Come with another plan. I remember a principal saying to me, a colleague of mine, saying to me when he got a principal post, he was very young and so he was under pressure from teachers, yeah, because they thought that he was too young to lead them. And he said to me, whenever you go into leadership, always take with you plan A to Z. So if you come with A and it won't work, you tell them about B, you tell them about C until you reach to a negotiation where they're able to say, okay, A and B can work, but not C and D. It's the same approach with your students. You are leading them. So don't, because they're not prepared, you're not going to teach them. No, you're going to move on to another topic. You're going to find something else that will be able to teach the students from. There's also the tasks list that you are going to be outlining to the students what is it that they need to complete as you progress in the semester. It is an approach that works very well. For me, it works. At the beginning of grade 10, there's an outline that I give to my students. The topics to be completed, the activities that they will get, the due dates for these activities. They have their reflection exercise that they must do. And I must not take all the credit for that. It is also a requirement by CSEC because of the subject and the nature of what we teach and the portfolio that the students need to present at the end of year 2, that this approach is taken, and it works because they are guided into what they will be doing, and so it makes it easier for them to progress. So that is it where we speak about self-management. The third aspect of it is the social awareness part, where they're showing understanding and empathy for others. Educators, we have many students in our classroom who they know nothing about empathy. They know nothing about understanding another person's perspective. They only see things their way and their way only. And we can't blame them because sometimes it is their upbringing, the social environment in which they socialize that has caused them to become cold at relating to others. And so as educators in the classroom, because we are in control of the students, they in control in the sense that they are in our care, we need to know that we don't just teach them content, we're teaching them life skills for the future. We're teaching them how to negotiate conflicts. We're teaching them to become better adults. So not because you're from the slum means that you have to come out and represent the slum as the slum is. You can come out and represent the slum in a positive way, and by so doing you pull others up from where they are. And so we need to help them to identify the social cues to determine how others are feeling. Somebody said something in class and it is wrong. Don't You may laugh, yes, because there are times when we may smile or we may chuckle as educators, but then we go to correct the students. But we need to encourage the others not to use it as a moment to taunt the person or to label them or to give them names or to take it to the entire school and tease an individual. That's bullying. So we need to teach them how to become self-aware. When you see someone answer a question and it is incorrect and you laugh, or something is said and you realize that they are not saying anything for the rest of the day or the rest of the time period, what do you do? Do you keep going at them, or do you find a way in which to cheer them up? We also need to teach them how to take others' perspectives. Debating is a means by which we can teach our students, give them topics to debate about, discuss, have positive discussions with them. So because John Brown eats this particular food doesn't make John Brown less than Mary Brown. Because John Brown doesn't see the need to maybe clean his shoe every day, um, it doesn't make him less than a student. But you can understand his perspective and why he thinks the way he does. And then you may want to share with them what is it that you think about. So you are teaching the students perspective and how to be, accepting of others without them influencing your behavior. It's also important that we teach them how to demonstrate empathy and compassion towards others. Someone doesn't have something, how do you share with them? What do you do to help a student out of what they are in? And this is where also the strategies, the teaching approaches that we use, educators, they are important. As I've always said, that the education system that we have grown into teaches students to be self-individualistic. They're individualistic in their approach. It is about me and what I know, and what I know you can't know, and so I keep my knowledge to myself. No, we need to get them to the point where they're thinking about another person. Someone doesn't know, how do you help them without taking away from the situation? You're not cheating with them, but what is it that you do to help a student? It may be group work that you place them through, cooperative learning strategies that you may give to them, and you may help them to show compassion to others and to show concern for others. Someone's work is not completed and time is going. They don't have a laptop. What can they do to help them? And this is what we need to be preaching to our students. I say to my students at all times, it makes no sense you hoard the knowledge that you have. You need to share it, you need to tell others, you need to explain, and by so doing, you're engaging the brain. And the more you engage your brain in a topic, in discussion, the more that information stays with you. And if we preach that to our students, we will have better students who show concern for others and who are empathetic. We must also teach them how to recognize strengths. What is it that you are good at? And how should you utilize it in a positive way? So you are good at debating. Use it to show someone a correct way, a technique. Use up your debating techniques to show someone how something should be done correctly, how to convince someone to do that which is right. You are good at DJing. How can you DJ positive songs that will build the morale of students and not use their voice to sing derogatory music? You must also teach them to understand that persons have different social norms because of how they were brought up. Even if they're unacceptable, they have to be accepting of that social norm of someone else, but it should not influence them. So it is also about perspectives once more. And what is very, very important, educators, is to help our students to understand and express gratitude. Sometimes students do well in a class, and instead of clapping and cheering them on, some students are upset because, oh, you are so bright, or you're always answering, or you're always doing that. Teach them how to be accepting of others, how to be positive, how to encourage others, and by so doing, they will be encouraging themselves as well. Now, the next one is relationship skills. This is helping them to form positive relationships, how they can work in teams, and how they can solve conflict effectively. This is something that is well needed in our environment, in our teaching context, right across the globe. It is needed because for too long we have students who they don't know how to have positive relationships. They don't know how to work in teams, as I suggested earlier, and they are not good at solving conflict. So utilize the cooperative learning strategies. Teach them how to communicate clearly and effectively. Teach them also to listen well. Someone is speaking, don't interrupt them. Allow them to make their point, and then you can make your point after. Teach them how to resist inappropriate social pressure. Keep speaking this over them, speaking it over them. telling them how to be positive in everything, telling them how to be able to decide what is right from what is wrong so that they don't give in to social pressure, how to prioritize instead of being on WhatsApp and Instagram after school. When you get home, spend the first hour or 2 hour and go over some notes, and then you take some me time thereafter. Or if you want to take your me time first and then you get to the books, but you have to teach them how to move away from the social pressures that come onto them. It's all about goal setting as well. And of course, in whatever context we teach, they must be able to solve conflicts effectively. No need to be fighting with someone. We see killing, senseless killing each day happening because we are not able to resolve conflicts. And if we nip it in the bud, as most persons will say, then it is easier in our classrooms. That's what we need to be doing. A conflict arises, teach them how to solve it, teach them how to move around it, and also encourage them to seek and offer help when needed. Do not take matters into their own hands. And the final aspect of this the social emotional learning theory is for them to be responsible in making decisions, be able to be making constructive and respectful choices about personal behavior and social interactions, teaching them how to stay calm, observe and identify the problem, how they can stop, think, and analyze the situation, and also give them the opportunity to make decisions. And this can be done in groups or openly in class. You may give them something to do and allow them to make their decisions. And also, they should be able to evaluate and reflect on the outcome of their choices. Show them how it is that the choice that they're going to make, what the outcome will be. Is it something that you want? Or is it something that's going to make you look bad or make you look good? How will it make you feel at the end of the day? These are ways in which we can help our students develop the social emotional learning theory, the cell aspect of it in our teaching. Because as I've said earlier, it's not just about content, it's about giving our students life skills that will help them in the future outside of your classroom. How will they function? Cell is not only for the classroom, it's the home, the school, the community, everything ties in. But of course, we know that our communities, they tend to fail our students at times. So when they come to school, come into a classroom, that may be the only place where they are learning certain essential life skills. How are we doing it? Spend some time away from the content that we have to level with our students. If it is even 10 minutes, it will save a life. It will save someone from ending up in trouble further down the road, another 3, 4, 5 years, because they remember what teacher said in the classroom and the techniques and the ways in which teacher helped them to overcome what is it that they were experiencing. Now, there are many benefits of this approach in our school setting. There's increased academic achievement because students know that there is someone who is looking out for them. They know that the class is like a place away from home. It's like a positive environment for them. So they look forward to coming to school. They look forward to doing their best because teacher is motivating them and pushing them along. There's also improved behavior, positive attitude towards self and others. There's also decreased emotional stress. There's also improved attendance, and it reduces the conduct problems and risk taking behaviors. They're now able to sit and think about the consequences that will occur because of the choice that they have made. And so, educators, it is very important for us to understand the different components of cell, the benefits of it, what it is, and what we can do as teachers to help our students for the future. Now, I utilize this approach in my classes. It's nothing that is like the unplanned curriculum. You turn up to class and things may not be happening as how you expect it to be. What do you do? And so on the screen, it's a conversation with a student. We were supposed to do a lab, and I would have reminded them in the WhatsApp group that remember you have your lab tomorrow. And the students texted to say, Miss, I can't do my lab tomorrow. Can I have another day? This is unlike her because the day before we spoke and everything was okay. So I texted her to say, outside of the group, of course, what happened. And her response was, I don't get the money, I said. So I said, just come the same and I will bring you some items. And she said, thanks. So she turned up to school, did her practical, because it is about relationship. I believe in her. She knows that I believe in her. I'm always encouraging her. I could not let her down because she doesn't have it. She's not going to be able to do. I was able and in the position to take things from home, and I did that just for her. Relationship over content. Teaching them, showing them how they can be compassionate and empathetic towards others. Another conversation with a student. She said, good evening, miss. I can't attend school for tests because of C-sex, so I don't, if you could send it online for me to do. Because I have to go to classes same way. So this is a student who has prioritized, or let me say has made plans. So she's in grade 10, but then she's doing some subjects, C-sex subjects. And so I said to her, why not take days off to just complete the test as it is required to be done face to face? Because I was wondering what's happening with you. I'm not seeing you, not hearing from you. Text said, no response. She said she's mostly focusing on C-sex. And then she asked, what day is your exam? I didn't respond to that, but I did say to her, remember, you have to balance out that with your regular schooling. So yes, you have your CSEC exams to do, but at the same time, you also have tests to do is going to go on your report. So that both of them are important, but you need to be able to balance it out, helping them to make wise decisions. And so here you can see that this is from one of the student that needed some help, and I decided to take items to assist. Educators, note on the table. These dishes, they were lovely and they were done well. But can I tell you that there were students there who turned up and they didn't have all the things that they needed. And I turned to my students in the class and I said, listen, such person doesn't have this. Can I have a piece of this to give to them so that they can sort out their dish as well? And I say to them, remember that each one help each one. You don't know when you are going to be in need of help, when you will need something, and maybe it's that same person that is going to help you. So if you have things that you can share it. And they did. And they all received their grade, because at the end of the day, I say to them, the grade that one person gets, it's not going to affect you. You have your grade, they have their grade. At the end of year 2, when they finish and they leave, you're going X, the other person is going Y. Does it make you better than the other person? No. But at least you had helped them along the way. And so you're teaching them to be compassionate, how to be caring, how to show love, how to show concern for each other. Educators, it is very important for us that we develop these aspect of the social and emotional learning in our classroom. We need to show them how to be respectful, the empathetic side of it, how to be self-motivated, how to be socially engaged, how to be self-aware, how to be collaborative, how to identify problems and analyze situations, to be ethically responsible, and also international mindedness. And this will become a part of them, a part of what they do to help them to become successful in life. Educators, I thank you so much for listening in. If this video was impactful, if you found aspect of it that you utilize throughout the school year and you plan to use it for the future, go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Share this with someone, a colleague, even parents, because sometimes we have parents who tell their children, don't share with others. What I give you is for you. We can't have selfishness in our classroom. We need more children who are willing to give and willing to share. I also invite you to stay connected, stay tuned in when we have our analysis Thursday. And for the remainder of Dribble and July, we're focusing on SEL. We're going to be focusing on how we can develop it in teachers, how we can engage family and the community in helping us to reach our target of being social and emotionally aware in what we do. And we will have with us a psychologist who is trained in the field and can and will be and can provide us with valuable information. Until then, see you. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Please leave your comments in the comment section. And educators, enjoy this rest that you have. But while you're enjoying the rest, plan for next school year. Jot down your ideas. What are you going to be doing differently for your students? Until then, take care. Remember, my only mission is to empower you, educators.